You know, I find technology so fucking interesting because you can just look at, say, 10 years ago and compare it to now. It's like, wow, you can you can make a very nice video with just like an iPhone nowadays. Back in what, 2012, I think the iPhone could only go up to like 720p, which, okay, yeah, most videos were 720p, but the fact of the matter is, even in my own videos, I have used my phone as a camera for certain things whenever I've had to go on the go and get footage of something. I'm not really carrying around my, my actual camera. I'm carrying around, well, just my phone that fits in my pocket. So seeing what computers can do is very just amazing. It is incredible. However, my biggest problem is, I think it can best be summed up by, and I haven't watched Jurassic Park, I just know of this quote because, I mean, you hear it everywhere. You were too busy asking if we could, that you didn't stop to ask if we should. And sure enough, I have a feeling that that has just happened with AI-generated art. And really, the topic of AI is a very interesting topic because, of course, if you go back to the 80s, go back to the 90s, you had stuff like the Terminator, Skynet, all that. And even now, it is really hard to tell if we actually are living in a time where something like Skynet could already exist. I mean, we have Google, we have the YouTube AI that recommends content to whoever. I don't know if this video will get recommended to anyone, maybe it will. But the point of the matter is that we are all just like common people that just use the internet. We don't really care what goes on in the computer because it just works. And that is potentially a problem. Now, okay, I could go off on AI stuff, but the fact of the matter is that AI is getting very smart because there is now AI-generated art. Namely, right now, you have a program called Stable Diffusion that is making the rounds. Before that, you also had what I think is called Crayon now, that used to be called DALL-E 3. And it's all really interesting technology because for the first time we're seeing computers generate artwork that look like it was made by humans. However, the problem with that is, besides having some laughable things happen and also having some terrifying things happening, notably recently with the thing called Loeb that is just terrifying. Things like that are very interesting to investigate because you look at what is going on with the program itself, and you can dissect that and almost reverse engineer the program to find things that some people may not have even intended to exist in the program, as I said with the case of Loeb. However, there is a sinister side to this that I am worried about, and that is the automation of art. Really what we saw with like the automotive industry, what we saw with like typewriters going into computers, where, okay, yeah, that stuff happened, and I am starting to let's just say question the full automation of things. But the problem comes when you have an AI basically stealing artwork from artists that have spent their whole life honing this craft and getting really good at it, and then just some AI can pick it up and recreate their style in like a minute, when it typically will take an entire day to paint or draw some of these pieces of art. I do want to emphasize though that people don't come out of the womb and are just like given the skill of being a good guitarist or a good painter or a good singer. No, you have to practice that. That is something that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And it's even to the point where I would say that anyone could do any of those things. You just gotta be dedicated. So because of that, that is another thing to keep in mind with an AI effectively stealing someone's art, or someone using an AI to steal someone's art, because you are in essence minimizing what could be like decades of work of trying to become a master in your craft. Now, what am I talking about? Well, unfortunately, this just happened from what I can tell today, and oh boy, my Twitter timeline is now filled with anime pictures. Yeah, I was hoping that wouldn't happen on the main account, but I guess I guess I can't avoid that now. Anyway, what am I talking about? You have an artist named on Twitter, Haruno Intro. Actual name for the profile is just AT. Some of these Japanese artists have some interesting names for their Twitter profiles. I don't know. They just make some good art. And what ended up happening was they were streaming their work, okay? Because on Twitch I believe there is a creative section that you can then like stream you working in Photoshop or Paint Tool Sai or Clip Studio, any program, I mean hell, even MS Paint if you want to. And the problem comes that someone basically stream sniped them and fed an AI an early version of their art that, from what I can see, it was like a near complete picture, and literally just had the AI finish it. No respect to the artist at all. The artist probably wasn't even aware that this was happening as they were finishing up their piece. And sure enough, what we end up seeing is the AI, the person that posted their AI completion of this work, posting it about 5 hours before the actual artist. Now, I will admit that it is kind of difficult to make out what is going on here, because it is another language, alright? I don't speak Japanese, and hell, even the tweet that I myself retweeted initially is all in Korean. I don't speak Korean. But, fact of the matter is that this is just fucked up, man. I mean, my problem is that I have my thoughts on this. I'm not going to get into them in this video, but I feel like that this is just disrespectful to the artist. And it is honestly saddening, because for me personally, I see this as just being another thing that has now been tainted by technology. And okay, I use technology a lot. Like, I fucking love computers. I already said at the beginning. But there is just a part of me that I guess is strangely like a curmudgeon, even though I'm like 20. Because I seriously do kind of wish for just fucking go back to like 1990 or whatever, where computers could only play like Commander Keen. Because fuck, man, this is just saddening that an AI can take someone's hard work and then just recreate it, and then possibly just be seen as like basically getting more attention. Now, luckily this was called out, okay? And that is the amazing thing with this, but there's going to be plenty of people that end up having their work stolen. And there is a debate going on as to if the AI is being inspired by the work, because because how it works is it collects a whole pool of data, being all these works from like anime artwork databases in this specific case, where it uses that as the foundation for how to then pull things to make what is art, which arguably by that definition, by framing it, I will say this, does kind of, it is parallel to how people are inspired to make work. Like I myself, I like to think that there are elements of what I do that are pulled from things that I have consumed in the past, like past films, music, all that kind of stuff. However, the problem that I have is that AI doesn't have a sentience or a soul to it, or however you want to, like whatever term you want to apply to it, whereas a human being does. So a human has the ability to consciously make decisions, to manipulate what they are aware of, to create something new. And I don't see the proof in that with AI. I don't. And I think, honestly, if you can prove that an AI can make some kind of conscious decision, well, fuck, man. The thing that we should be talking about isn't an artist being stolen from. It's the fact that you've literally just created Skynet. You've just created an AI, and humanity's death is imminent, because, I mean, who knows how long it's going to be until that AI launches the nukes, or just starts driving cars off of bridges or something like that. Who knows if the AI will go rogue. Now, okay, we don't know if that's going to happen or not, and honestly, that is too deep of a conversation for me to get into at almost 10 o'clock at night. But my own fears, of course, with this are being able to just replace artists, and that is something that is disturbing. And I mean, we've seen this in the past again. As I mentioned briefly, we've seen this with like automotive workers, where you have machines that now do the job of auto workers. Hell, we already see this with like grocery stores, right? Because you have self-checkout. Now, on one hand, you do have the customer doing the checkout itself, but I bet you could automate that. Hell, I guarantee you that there's a computer that's doing all of Amazon's internal orders. There isn't going, I doubt there's going to be some person who's like, Yes, approve this order. Yes, approve this order. I gotta sign off on this. You didn't have Jeff Bezos for probably like 30 years having to sign his name to any of these orders, right? So it is a complicated thing, of course. But I do see this as if it isn't kept in line, it isn't checked, if the ethics of this aren't actually properly discussed, you're going to have the case where I think you're going to have people that are going to be less motivated. You're going to have people that would have dedicated their entire lives to making art, just being like, well, fuck it, man. If a computer can just do my job for me, then who's going to pay me? And that is going to be the problem, because corporations are going to use this. You know corporations are going to use this. They're trying to use as few or as little human labor as possible anyway to reduce overhead. So this is all a ethics and maybe not necessarily morals question, but you could probably throw morals in there as well. But this really is an ethics issue. And the end point of this is honestly seeing myself as not being able to really like compete with this. Because I do create things. I mean, I make music, I make videos, and though I don't particularly consider my own videos to be high art at all, because they are at best critiques of media themselves, I don't hold critiques to be anywhere near the original works themselves, okay? Because I think it takes more to create something original than it is for someone to just like analyze it. At the end of the day, like, someone could easily just make an AI of, say, like a Markiplier video, and, like, hell, that could be something that Markiplier does, where he just gets an AI to do his videos, if he wanted to. Because there is software out there that lets you replicate human voices, and even human voices of people that already exist. Now, it's pretty shitty. You do need a large sample size for it, but I bet you in 2 years, you're going to have like legitimate AI that is just going to sound like a flawless version of, as I said, like Markiplier. Where at that point it isn't even the fact that's in the Uncanny Valley, it has gone through it and reached the other side. The other thing I forgot to mention is there are AIs out there that you can train to create scripts based off of a sample size of data. Because this has happened before with like making a Shakespearean play by just feeding it all of Shakespeare's collected plays. So theoretically, what you could do is take maybe the past 2,000 Markiplier videos, get the transcripts off of those, because YouTube does generate transcripts for most every video. Take those transcripts, feed them into this bot, and it will generate a script for a Markiplier video. Or at least what it thinks is one, and given the large sample size, it can be more accurate. Now, I think we are some years out from having like AI gameplay. We have tasks, tool-assisted speedruns, okay, but what I'm talking about is making gameplay that is believable to looking like a human played it. So once that is possible, though, I mean, what's to stop someone from doing exactly what I outlined? Generate AI generate gameplay, generate an AI script that's based off of Markiplier's videos, and then take a AI voice generator using Markiplier to then make a computer-generated Markiplier video. I don't think it's that possible now, but it's damn near possible in the future, I think. And then another thing to add on to this is you could then theoretically legitimately have like a AI-generated VTuber, because what you have to do is just then simulate the motions, like the input for the camera, for the like face tracking, and then do the same thing with voice lines, do the same thing with gameplay, and really at that point, you are creating an AI that almost has a personality. So that is really the end point with this, because there is no stopping quote-unquote innovation and automation of labor. You're eventually going to end up with a situation where the computer, and whatever that like all-knowing computer could be, because I mean companies are buying each other out left, right, and center, you could easily end up with something like a hypothetical thing where, I don't know, the Amazon literally has no workers because you have self-driving cars that are controlled by a computer that do all delivery, so they even cut out the middlemen of like UPS and FedEx. You could then additionally not just have no people in the warehouses at all, because you just have a really tight logistics system. It is a lot of things. I don't want to sound like conspiratorial here at all, but I'm just presenting possibilities, because I don't think we're that far from it. So at this point, to me, it's not then a long fetch to then say like, oh, art is going to be automated, and yeah, like humans already cannot keep up with computers and a lot of different things, and once you write out humans from creating art, which it can be anything from an anime drawing to a masterpiece like a Miles Davis album, you know, like Bitches Brew, Kinda Blue, something like that. I mean, at that point, you're not developing human culture, you're developing computer culture. And at that point, it really is two questions. One, how far until we actually acknowledge the sentience of a computer? And then two, is human culture and advancement dead? So a very grim future I've outlined here. Again, fortunately, this was called out. I did actually tweet about this on my Twitter at ApsoProblem, and yeah, hopefully on one hand I did actually get this correct, this whole story correct, because there is a language barrier here, but yeah, this is really fucked up, man. It really is. But in other news, I literally cannot scroll my Twitter timeline now because it is just filled with anime girls.